now that Donald Trump is the nominee for the Republican Party, no longer presumptive, he has enough delegates. I mean, obviously, everything becomes official at the convention in July in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Should have been in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'm going to get over that at some point in my life. But it should have been here. Things will be official then, but they are all but official now. And inasmuch as it is official that Donald Trump is the presidential candidate, the presumptive, if you will, Republican nominee, and he will be taking on Joe Biden unless something dramatic happens between now and their campaign convention, the proverbial long knives have come out against the once and what I hope to be future president of the United States of America. Over the weekend, the silly season ramped up into a lofty perch. I don't even know how to say it. It is some of the most absurd nonsense that we've heard in quite some time. It really does remind me of when he was president of the United States, or when he had become president of the United States after the election of 2016. The pronouncements on the part of the mainstream media that he would never leave power, that he was going to be an authoritarian, that he was going to make the United States of America some sort of subset of Russia because he was so chummy with Vladimir Putin, and Vladimir Putin won the election for him, and Russian collusion and all of these things. It really has been, since 2015, a series of nonsensical statements about Donald Trump with regard to what they have decided that he's going to do and what they have decided he's not going to do. The main difference between 2016 and today is that we have the track record. We know what he would do as president of the United States. We know what his priorities are as president of the United States. He has been there. He has done that. And even in the face of 2.5 years of Democrat nonsense thrown at him over and over and over again, and then a full year of COVID-19, which stole his 2020 election cycle, which stole the path forward that he had galvanized and that he had created and he had plowed along with Republican colleagues in Washington, D.C. with regard to politics, that was stolen from him during the year 2020. And ultimately, the election was taken from him as well, through using legal and non-legal means by collecting ballots. And specifically, and I can back all of that up, specifically the non-legal means, especially being the idea of accepting post-dated ballots in the mail, which Pennsylvania did, which Georgia did, which many other states did, which are against their laws, but they did it anyway because, COVID. But now we have that track record. We saw the reaction of the supporters of President Donald Trump. We saw his reaction. We didn't like it none too much. But we reset ourselves. We gathered together. We fought the good fight. We continue to fight the good fight. And we move forward in how we believe the country is going to be best served by our government in 2024. I believe that the biggest impediment that we have now to truth in the United States of America comes in the form of what we have always described, or at least what I've always described, as the mainstream media. I am a man of strong opinions. Yes, me, believe it or not. And I would expect, considering that you're listening to this radio show, this radio station, that you're involved and engaged to the point that you probably have some strong opinions about what's going on around you in your life as well. Having strong opinions does not necessarily need to be mutually exclusive to the truth. But sadly, it seems that the mainstream media has decided that they are going to set aside the truth when they believe, because of their opinions and their political ideology, that they can take advantage of a situation to the betterment of their cause and to the detriment of the truth, which is precisely what they did over the weekend with this bloodbath nonsense, which is what it is. It's absolute nonsense. It is beneath us to talk about it. It is beneath you and beneath me to have a discussion about it. as long as I have been alive, as long as you have been alive, as long as the oldest person on planet Earth has been alive, we have been using war-type language to describe politics. Ooh, they're going into battle. Ooh, it's going to be a bloodbath. Ooh, I mean, whatever it is. Yet when Donald Trump does it, it becomes somewhat of a five-alarm fire because the media, you can imagine some of these leftists running through the newsrooms of America, running through CNN, hashtag never CNN, don't watch CNN, it's a garbage network full of garbage people I watch so you don't have to, running through ABC, CBS, NBC, or any of the other alphabet soups, running through the newsroom of the New York Times or the Washington Post, running breathlessly trying to get to an editor to declare, we've got him! We've finally got him, everybody! We've got Trump! He used the word bloodbath. Now we've nailed him. It's nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. And it's nonsense that I am compelled, or anyone else in the world that we live in here on Political Talk Radio and Super Talk, and I don't begrudge anyone from doing it because you have to fight back on it. You have to push back on it. Otherwise, they will attempt to cement it as some level of truth. So you have to push back. Anyone listening, and I've got anyone listening to this clip over the weekend knows what was going on. And oh, by the way, even if Donald Trump said it more broadly or generally about the economy or about our political landscape or about our nation, generally speaking, or whatever, it's still a perfectly acceptable word to use. But here's where the media has decided to put their thumb on the scale, and here's where I would suggest to you that they have become an enemy of the state. If they are not a friend of the truth, they become an enemy of the state. Their entire job, their entire role in all of this is to present the goings-on of our country in a fashion that is not necessarily non-subjective. It's okay to present it in a subjective manner, but it has to be born of truth. And they have decided that they are willing to ignore the truth, to intentionally lie to the American people so as to support their cause, to support the America that they want to see, or I should say it this way, the country that they want to see America transformed into. They are willing to do or to say anything. They are willing to lie to you. We have truly become a nation of almost we and them. Maybe it's because of something that I did over the weekend. I was down on Saturday. I went down to Franklin with my wife. We had been to the Lott's house and we had been to the Carter house. If you've never been and you are at all a fan of history, I encourage you to go down and tour the Battle of Franklin. The Battle of Nashville obviously is worthy as well. Of course, I've been to Shies Hill and some of these other areas because I do enjoy history, and it is particularly poignant when you walk it and you imagine, if you're standing outside of the Carter house and you imagine that there are no trees and there's only fields, there's only plains. They had cut down all of the trees to create pasture land because there was a robust livestock and cattle farming community in and around Franklin. You know, Franklin at the time of the Civil War, you know how many people, by the way, Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Thank him. Mac Morey will be back along in just a little bit to present some news items to you in the Supertalk 99.7 WTN Newsroom. I should get these pleasantries out of the way. I mentioned that it's episode 533. You can watch or listen to our episode on a variety of different platforms. Of course, listening on 99.7 FM. You can also listen on anywhere you stream news or information or music. If you stream news or information or music from someplace, you should be able to stream Supertalk. And if you can't, let me know, and I'll make sure that we make that happen. Just sign up and put in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. You can also download our own app, and then there's Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. For you masochists in the listening audience, here I am in all of my glory, and today's episode 533 is entitled
Matt Murphy Show. Listen for all 3 hours, or we're going to have a bloodbath. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3, soap bars.
Oh, that's for the blood. Oh, and the bath. That's nice.
No, that's for the leftists lying through their teeth that they need to have their mouth washed
out with soap. You know how many people lived in Franklin at the time of the Civil War?
I don't know, 5,000?
That's a really good guess. It's a really good guess.
How many was it?
Like 800.
Oh, wow.
Now, that might have been families. So, but I think I'm right. There was like 800 it might have been households. But
Were they all country music stars?
But I was fascinated, yes. It was the ancestors of the Brooks, the ancestors of the McGraws, ancestors of the Hills.
Some Duns in there, some Riches.
Yeah, sure. Some little ancestors of the old. Oh, speaking of, I need to make that announcement. Thank you for reminding me. Coming up on tomorrow's show, just make a note of it. If you appreciate what we do on a regular basis, you'll especially appreciate the 1 o'clock hour tomorrow as we welcome into studio John Rich. John Rich is going to stop by. Yeah, all right. Just me? Oh, right. The electronic folks. Yeah, John Rich. I've had a great opportunity to be at a number of functions that John has been a part of, and we've had an opportunity to sit down on a couple of occasions and speak. He's been on the show on a number of occasions via phone, but this is the first chance that we've had to have him in studio. He's going to stop by to talk about his life in country music, his life involving politics, and his decision to involve himself even further, not just into national politics, but into state politics as well. We'll talk to him about that at 1:05 tomorrow afternoon as John Rich joins us in studio. That's a big deal, and we're excited about that. So here's the point. We sadly cannot take anything that we see on mainstream media, on social media, on the internet broadly, and sadly, I would include our medium here at Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I would suggest to you that you trust in nothing that you don't already know in your heart to be true. Trust in nothing that I say. You know, I long mirrored, Neil Bort said this for years. If you remember old Neil, the talkmaster, he was the original mouth of the South. I took up that moniker because, you know, nobody else was using it when Neil retired. But Neil used to say, don't believe anything that I say to be true unless you know it to be true at the time that I say it, or you do your own research. It's called doing your homework. And I agree with that, because occasionally I'll lie to you just to keep you on your toes. That said, I don't lie to you as a way to get my point across, and I never would. Why? Because we get called on it. Because in our world, we engage with regularity with people like you. We seek out the truth through people like you. The mainstream media, high in their ivory towers, they don't like social media. They don't like the intraweb. They don't like that engagement because, sadly, they don't dictate what is and is not, quote unquote, truth anymore. They don't mold the narrative to their own liking anymore, or at least they cannot anymore. They still try to do it, which is what they tried to do over the weekend with this nonsense regarding the bloodbath comments. We will share with you the full comment that Donald Trump offered, allow you to decide for yourself.